Well, it is a great pleasure for me to welcome you to Samantha Eckert's gallery talk about her work, and in particular about the work in this exhibition, Besieged by Wonder. Eva's executive director, Sherry Boras, was unable to be here today to introduce Sam, so please bear over with me for stepping in. I am Bente Torjussen, and I had the great honor of serving as Eva's executive director for 30 years until I retired in 2016. In 2019, I was called back to help out during a period of transition, and have since stayed on to assist in various ways, including providing institutional memory as we are compiling information to celebrate Eva's 50th anniversary next year in 2023. That's very exciting, yes. But enough about me. This is all about Sam. We are here to celebrate her, to see, to learn, to listen, and to be besieged by your wondrous work. Sam was raised in Brownsville, Vermont, and lived in New Mexico for many years before returning to Vermont in 2012. In 2015, she earned her MFA in Visual Arts from the Vermont College of Fine Arts in Montpelier, Vermont. In addition, she holds a certification in museum studies from the Institute of American Indian Arts in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Sam has been accepted at several notable arts residencies in the United States and in Italy, including at Anderson Ranch Art Center in Snowmass, Colorado, and at La Macina di San Cresci in Greve in Chianti in Italy. What a beautiful place. She has twice been awarded residencies at the studios at Mass MoCA in North Adams, Massachusetts, where her most recent residency took place in December 2021. In addition to being deeply engaged in an artistic practice steeped in labor and time, using materials that hold inherent meaning, Sam also has an important staff position at Eva Gallery, where she is the exhibition manager. Yes. Let me just say that Sam submitted her exhibition proposal and was accepted to show here long before she became the exhibition manager. Everyone here at Eva, as well as all of the artists with whom she interacts, are thrilled to have her in this position, as we all benefit greatly from her talents and skills. The fact that we now, on top of that, have the opportunity to display her remarkable work make us all feel besieged by wonder. Please join me in welcoming Samantha Eckert. Sam, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Bente. Thank you for joining us tonight. As most artists, I have a horrible fear of public speaking, so I made a little slideshow to give you something to look at. Some of the stories I'll be sharing have pre-recorded audio in the slideshow. That way I can take a breath or take a sip of water or wine. This slideshow provides a bit of insight into how and why and who and what inspire me and inform the work I make. Whoa. In my mind, when you reach a certain age, memories become more like fables. Over time, the realness of a memory is reinvented or shaped into a story that you know and remember, rather than remembering the real event. I think of memory or memory myth, along with our genetics and bits of stardust, shape our identity. I'd like to share a few of my memory myths, which I like to use and reinvent in my work. A few of these are staples in my lexicon, my toolkit of ideas.
When I was in the first grade, my teacher spoke with my parents about how she often caught me gazing out the window rather than at the blackboard. So there began my fascination with imagining and wondering. My teacher's comment made me feel strange and caused me to worry. My mother explained daydreaming and shared with me that she too had a habit of gazing out the window to wonder about things and imagine. Today, I'm not even sure if the recollection is based on any real facts or if it was just a myth created over time and fragmented memory. When my family moved from New York to Vermont, I was 9. It was summer, and my sisters and I set out to build a fort on our new Vermont land. We gathered branches and made a neat teepee-like hut at the base of a large tree. We nailed boards into the tree to make a ladder to climb up into and look out at the view. It was magical. The original idea for the towers made of scorched popsicle sticks came from this memory. The intention was to metaphorically recreate that fort.
The first time I built the towers was for my thesis exhibition in grad school. The towers have evolved to include many metaphors. In my mind, they came to represent bones of buildings or of ancestors. I incorporated my grandmother's crochet work into the installation by laying it over an overhead projector and tracing the negative shapes with charcoal onto Muslim banners. I think of the piece as a collaboration with my grandmother. My memories or myths, along with my wonderings, are my lexicon, a sort of toolkit of ideas. They slip into the work as sleight of hand and metaphor. Most often, I don't understand the meaning of the finished form until long after it's made. The reason I work in multiples is to build up an inventory of materials to make objects. I don't always have an intention for using the materials. For instance, the magical bones or the pine cone creatures. Even the painted panels were inventory, the finished form unknown. And the finished forms in this exhibition are likely to transform in the future, reinvented into a new form. There's something about that I really like. The rebirth is a form of vitality.
When I was 11, my Aunt Jean from New York came to visit us in Vermont. One early summer evening, she took us to the drive-in. There was a double feature. The first movie was one of those 1970s silly Don Knotts comedies. I remember enjoying it so much that when it was over, I thought, ugh, the next movie was going to be so boring. Well, from the moment the next movie opened, with the loud notes of the 20th Century Fox anthem, to the booming movie soundtrack, and the opening scroll laying out the preface of the story slipping into the stars of a black galaxy, I was captivated. Can you guess what movie that was? Supernova 1987A.
According to ESA, Hubble, studying supernovae like SN1987A is important because the exploding stars create elements, such as carbon and iron, that make up new stars, galaxies, and even humans. The iron in a person's blood, for example, was manufactured in supernova explosions.
My mother's family was from Polistena, Italy. Polistena is a village located in the region of Calabria. A few years ago, I had my DNA tested and found out that besides being 40% Italian and 40% Irish, I have a 20% mix of Middle Eastern, Greek, and Turkish ancestry. When you learn something new about yourself, it's a strange and uncanny thing. Sort of like the person you thought you were is someone else. I suspect that my Italian bloodline initiated from relatives skipping over from Iraq or Syria by way of Turkey and Greece. The DNA results came during the war in Syria, and I started following the mass forced migration crisis there. When I saw photographs of the people as refugees forced to leave their country, it broke my heart.
My wondering about my people is the foundation of things I make. My thinking about my grandmother, her journey as an immigrant to America, the things she made, the crocheted works of art, afghans, sweaters, and clothing. The handwork skills that she taught my mother, who then taught me and my sisters. Handwork skills are made through unconscious muscle memory. The term muscle memory implies muscles have genetic memories. What a wonderful idea. My hands are my grandmother's hands. At least that's how I imagine it. I'm the youngest of my family. Amy is 5 years older, Jill's 9 years older. Shay is 12 years older than me. So you can imagine I had my share of hand-me-downs. But also I did quite well in the present department. One birthday, my sister Shay made me the most glorious magical horse sculpture out of paper mache. It was slightly bigger than a Breyer horse, painted white and covered in glitter. At the beginning of the COVID lockdown, I began collecting images of rainbows on social media, and I started knitting the piece Bundle of Stitches. I think of the rainbow as a bridge that connects distant lands, relatives, and lost loved ones. Seeing a rainbow is rare, and for that it holds a certain reverence for me. Its beauty is fleeting and transcendent.
When I see a rainbow in real life or in a photo, I'm reminded of my mother. This song is closely associated with the time during her terminal illness. This beautiful song, sung by Hawaiian singer Israeli Kamaka Viviole, holds the power to lift you up and bring tears at the same time, just like the power of a rainbow. This is called punctum, the sensory, intensely subjective effect of a photograph on the viewer, says Roland Barthes. It can happen with any work of art, visual or musical or in nature. The definition of punctum is a small distinct point. In anatomy, it's the opening of a tear duct.
One evening, circa 1983, my sister Amy and I were driving home to Brownsville after hanging out in West Leb, probably shopping at Rich's. Do you guys remember Rich's? Something strange was happening in the sky. We pulled over at the Grand Union in Windsor to call my mother from a payphone. Mom told us it was an aurora, the northern lights. Roland Barthes said something about the death of the author, that while reading a text or reading a work of art, meaning is generated in the process. I imagine this as the moment the understanding of something washes over you. And so along those lines, an artwork is doing the speaking. The artist, or me in this case, is sort of the Oz, the person laboring behind the curtain. Recently, I've had conversations with some of my artist friends about why is it that we make art? For me, making art is my way to express things that I think about. I see it as visual poetry. The process of generating ideas is sort of like sorting out a puzzle. I get really excited thinking about what materials to use and why those materials, and how to construct something. The choices are interesting. And the labor of cultural production is purposeful. Rolling out magical bones gave me a purpose. Knitting Morse code gave me a purpose. Layering colors of paint gave me a purpose. I've noticed a pattern in my work. The metaphors of comfort, longing, loss, and bits of humor weave in and out of the things I make. I like incorporating the metaphor of a blanket. I choose materials which for me represent childhood. Things like sparkly stuff, glitter, silvery things which encourage wonder, mystery, and remembering. Memory fragments are like light and shadow, rainbows, the sparkle of snow, or the reflection of sunlight on water. Things that aren't really there at all, but teeter between the real and abstract. That's it. Ta-da!